Used to call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my.
This is us to Coach Harasymiak. Little hotline bling. I'm trying to get his attention. Levack and Gaz, 104.5 The Team. You're home for Albany football. And Albany Great Danes doing a road trip this weekend, going out to Maine to play the Black Bears. Should be a real good game because when you look at the Maine Black Bears, they're a tough team, and we've got their head coach Joe Harasymiak on the phone with us right now. Coach, good afternoon. How you doing?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad that you can make some time for us. We appreciate you. Coach, we're looking at your schedule. You got Albany coming up this weekend, but you've already played two FBS teams, UConn and Toledo. That's we know Albany played Buffalo, but you're taking off some big chunks early. Why is it important to play that kind of talent so early in your schedule?
Yeah, it's obviously extremely challenging. I think you find out a lot about yourself, pretty quickly in the season. We played a really good game against UConn. We missed a kick with about a minute left there, and then they went down with 11 seconds left and then kicked the field goal to win. And then, Toledo, we were in for probably about 2.5 quarters, and then it kind of, with the way they can score, it kind of got away from us there. But, it's kind of an evaluator for us, too. In the years that I've been here that we've played really well during the season, we've usually, hung around those FBS games. So kind of a barometer for us. But obviously, the most important thing with this year is we came out healthy. So that was the key for this year.
Coach, you still got some tough competition there in the CAA. Do you believe that's the best conference in the FCS level?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I know the people in the MVC or whatever it is out there, I know they got North Dakota State and a couple teams, but I think all the coaches in the CAA, along with myself, week in and week out, you can win or lose every game. So, no disrespect to those teams out there, and I only know the CAA, but what I know has been pretty unbelievable football in my time here, and it's just it's a privilege to be able to compete in it week in and week out.
Coach Joe Harasymiak joining us right now. He's the head coach of the Maine Black Bears. They're going to play the Albany Great Danes. You can hear that right here on 104.5 of The Team this weekend. So, Coach, if I'm not mistaken, and you're probably sick of hearing this question, you're a young guy, man. You're 30, and you're already in charge of this team. Is it easier to get the players to relate to you, or do you think that sometimes they look at you and go, dude, I could be you in 5 years?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. I think there's good and bad that comes with it. For me, obviously, being a part of this program for the 6 years previous was obviously a part of the reason why I had the opportunity to take over for Coach Kaz. But the kids have done a great job with the transition. It's always a little bit harder at first because I got to kind of change my role a little bit. Usually as an assistant, sometimes you're always the good cop. But now I'm kind of playing the role of bad cop. Sometimes with those guys playing good cop. So it's just a challenge day in, day out. I'm learning a lot about other things other than football. That you got to do as a head coach. But it's been a great learning experience. It's been a great environment for me to learn in, and I couldn't have done it without the great staff I have, and obviously the kids buying into what we're trying to make them believe in.
Coach, I've always heard it's easier to start as the hard guy, the tough guy, and the lighten up over time. You said you were the good cop for the entire time you were an assistant. Is that a challenge to get these guys to take you seriously when they're used to you being the one they can run to when the other coach is mean to them?
No, not necessarily. I think it's you gotta have discipline in your program, and I think the guys that were on defense, especially from the time I was over, we like to have fun and we like to compete at a high level. But there's times where you gotta rip them a little bit and bring them down to earth. And what I've experienced that, especially with the kids here, they like the discipline. Kids might not tell you that right away, but over time they appreciate what you're doing for them. So I've kind of taken that defensive model that we coached under and I was a part of, and kind of tried to transition that to the entire team. But at the end of the day, I think young kids these days are looking for structure. They're looking for discipline. They might not want it at first. They might not realize it, but I think that's your job as a coach to make them recognize that.
Albany Great Danes take on the Maine Black Bears this Saturday at noon. Our coverage starts at 11:30, and we're talking to the head coach of the Black Bears, Joe Harasymiak, right now.
Coach, for those in the Capital Region that may not be familiar with your team, what are some of the strengths of the Black Bears this year?
I think we have a young team, only 9 seniors. And I think the reason I bring that up is because we're young, but I think we have a lot of experience, a lot of guys that have played in the CAA and tough conference games, especially on the road. So we have a little bit of experience going for us, which I think we're starting to play better. We were playing good football in the beginning of the year, but now we're playing some winning football and making plays in the fourth quarter. But, I think we're just a team that battles. We got to continue to execute well to be in games because we haven't in certain games, and it's come up to haunt us. But we know we're going against a great coach team. We have a lot of respect for the Albany program. I always have as an assistant when Bob Ford was there as well. So, we know they've never lost up here. We've kind of beaten each other up on each other's home turf the last couple of years. So we just got to come out and be ready to play. But I think our kids are excited about being at home again.
Coach, you brought up the well-coached team, but when you look at the tape on Albany this year, what jumps out at you first?
I'll start with their offense. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest difference probably for them is they got the quarterback going. I know they were injury plagued, I think, when we played them last year, if I remember right, and they just couldn't kind of find anyone going there. And now with the young man that got there now, he manages the offense. He makes throws. He made a lot of good throws against Richmond, I thought. I know he missed a couple probably that he wants back, but he put the ball in some windows. I think he threw a whole shot into cover two, which was a nice throw. We recruited EB. EB's from my neck of the woods in Jersey. He's a great kid. We want him as part of our program. Obviously, he can't win all the recruiting battles, but I know what type of kid he is and what kind of football player he is. I think Z. Roberson is a very, very talented wide receiver that we will have to do a good job of knowing where he is. And then obviously defensively, I mean, they turn you over. I mean, plus 14 after 5 games, I don't think I've ever seen that. And that's just a team that wins. That's the bottom line. When you create turnovers, it doesn't matter how it's going. As a defensive coach, I didn't care how many yards we gave up or whatever was going on. If we could turn you over, we were going to win games. And, they're doing a good job. I think 11 interceptions leads the country. So we know they fly around. Number 9 on their defense, the Hoskins kid, is very, very good. We got to make sure we know where he is at all times. And it'll just be a challenge for our guys. I think Albany and Maine, they're two teams that are trying to make their way in this league, and this is going to be a good football game.
Head coach of the Maine Black Bears, Joe Harasymiak, with us right here on 104.5 The Team. Now, we are the home for the Great Danes, so I cannot wish you luck, Coach. I'm just not allowed.
That's okay. I wouldn't expect that.
I was trying to think of a good wager between Albany and Maine, but I can't think of anything that wouldn't get us in trouble with the NCAA in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'll stay out of that. That's for you guys, I guess, off the air.
Coach, you really appreciate your time, and I think your story is fantastic. You work with the program for about 6 years, you said, and then 30 years old, you're a head coach of the Maine Black Bears football program, and you got the team playing really tough competition, playing them well. Again, I can't wish you luck this week, but as soon as Albany's out of your crosshairs, I'm going to wish you guys a lot of luck.
All right, thanks a lot, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.